from the overture to having a couple weeks break or more and then diving into your characters again, that must have been kind of abrupt feeling.
It was wild because we picked up right the hell up from the second we ended. So we had to, I watched the very last bits of the overture to try to keep back in. And I can't speak for the whole table, but I had trepidation because everyone else got to go out and explore desolate roads and places they'd never been to. And we had to know 20,000 people.
Uh-huh.
All at our fingertips.
They all got a nice little field trip, and we have jobs to do, so we have to stay back. We've got 9 to 5s, man.
That so we've all watched like TV shows and film and things that sometimes you kind of need a break from. I have to admit with Murray, your interactions with the new dean, upsetting in a way that caused me to pause the episode and revisit it the next day. It's a little too real. Like I think my Fitbit was letting me know, like, your blood pressure is going up right now.
Yep. Dean Cora Keplin Weisricht. Took me a few times staring at that last name to digest it in my brain, but
That's too many names.
That's a lot. There's a lot of syllables in a name.
Was that like an interesting like role play challenge to like you know what? I feel like so often in D&D I'm very reactive with a character, and Murray seems like a somewhat normally reactive character, so watching Murray have to like just eat this up was horrifying. I was waiting for a murder.
Todd, Marisha's a very reactive person sometimes. And especially when it comes to this, and like you said, it's like that that type of like horrible person that is under the guise of just trying to do what's best for everybody. And there's something deeply infuriating when you have this person who's justifying very horrible choices that are just only going to harm people under the guise of like, but this is for the best. So yeah, it's very
quote. The quote Into the Woods, nice is different than good.
Correct. That's a great quote for this. But yeah, I think that's a lot of the part of the challenge with the schemers, right? And I think you've had to see almost every single one of us do it, or at least you will in time see almost do it, where you kind of have to like keep up appearances. And part of the assignment of our table is kind of being very good at nodding and smiling and masking how absolutely furious and how much you despise the person you're talking to but you're gonna have to for survival and to get the job done.
I mean, I'm loving the Schemers table because I'm coming off of Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man, and very sad that I no longer have Peaky Blinders in my life. And like shows like Andor, I love like spy shows and schemer type shows. So this is coming at a really great time. But it did make me think watching the first Schemers episode how lethal this is. It's not like you pick a fight with some hill giants and run over the hill. Like every move, you are in the dungeon. Like, is there kind of this sense of lethality? Like, because you can't say the wrong. Not only can you not do the wrong thing, you can't say the wrong thing all the time.
There's a deep irony that the Schemers table as players and character class are probably the least equipped for a big knockdown drag out fight, and yet we are probably tangling with some of the most high powered people that you've seen in campaign 4 thus far.
And they live here. They live in the city we're in. We're piled on top of each other. This is not, a small town with very few people in it. This is an epicenter of people. So it's easy for rumors to get around. People know people. All of us have different networks, social networks that we're tied into. So it feels like, it does feel like you could step on the wrong side of the street on any given day and end up strung up in a tailor's.
I personally love, I'm curious about, I'm just mentioning that I love this. Blair's relationship to Murray is the weirdest buddy cop movie I didn't know I needed.
Yeah, I just like bickering with Taliesin. It's very fun to fight with Taliesin. We've done it every campaign, and why change, I guess, 10 years in. Yeah, I think it's like you're kind of dealing with two people who probably think they're the smartest person in the room at any given time, and how is that going to collide?
One dwarf, one ceramic mask, but the point still holds.
Yeah.
uh, what that was a really dramatic beginning to the Schemers table. I think, there's always been a very high bar for the role play or on Critical Role, over and over again. But it's always like shocking when things get real, and I like that description of like these two pennies going around and around to this final moment with you, Liam, you're with your character, and having to confront this terrible thing that happened with Luis Carazo's character Azune. What was that like in the moment? Like you were, it was great to watch. Like, if it's a TV show, you don't get to see everyone's reaction at the same time. There's something really compelling. Obviously, with when you're watching Critical Role, because you're getting to watch everyone's performance all at once, and that was such an intense experience.
He's such a deep and thoughtful actor and performer and game player and partner at the table. We done known that when we invited him in, and he is delivering. It was a beautiful, beautiful scene. I also had to split my mind because one part of my brain was watching, as a result of his true deep emotion, a snot sickle slowly stretching its way down. And I couldn't decide in the moment while I was in character if do I address it? I just let the moment pass? And finally a moment came where he gave himself one of these and he took care of the issue for me. But I was enraptured as our audience was, and he teed me up to do the thing that Hal does best, which is he takes care of many, 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 many people. And Azune is just one of the latest and closest to home. He was very important to my brother, to Hal's brother. Thiazi asked Hal to look after him and sent him here. So part of my my departed brother's wishes for me was to welcome him into the city when he first arrived, and so it's just the continuation of that.
Is there an itch that your characters are scratching in a particular way? I wouldn't say that Murray is scratching an itch right now for that last episode. more like digging claws into me. Not Murray, but what's happening to Murray. But like, is there something that's been like cathartic or interesting, or you're like, I've always wanted to perform this, and maybe I didn't get that from like voice acting or previous campaigns?
I mean, I've avoided Southern this whole time because I'm from there and I didn't want it to be the easy pull, but fuck it. Now it's my time now.
Yeah.
If Travis and Laura have gotten to do it, C2 and C3, it's my time. But beyond that, beyond like any type of characterizations, I think just like, Brennan and the rest of us, we're certainly not opaque about the sense that this campaign and everything with Aramán, art imitating life, baby. Brennan is always like very morally and motivated by change and action and by the unsuspecting hero, the little guy who's fighting back against tyrannical powers that be. So I think we all like fully understood what we were going into with this, and I think the Schemers table in particular really embodies the people that are on the ground floor and are fighting to enact change from within the systems that they are a part of. Liam, I don't know if you have anything to add to
no
that.
massive cataclysmic fights per se yet that we've seen, day by day, bit by bit, small victory, small loss. It's a continual grind for everybody. And one of the things, the other thing the main thing that I'm scratching itch is that I fucking love theater. And so I was like, I'm going to spend 2 years or whatever it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. Spend some time thinking about theater. But the other thing is we are all of us pushed around by the whims of the rich and powerful. And like we're numbers on a spreadsheet, or pawns on a map, and it feels good to try to confront that wave. So I guess two itches. I'm a little itchy.
Are you taking sneak peeks at the other tables while all of this is happening, or have you been trying to like? Well, I mean, Marisha, you may not be allowed to not be aware of what's happening at the other tables, but
Marisha knows. She's
yeah.
watching.
Is there some room for the cast not to be aware of what's happening at the other tables?
Yeah, nothing has been required, and even me on my side, you know, I was a little bit more attentive to the soldiers run since we were still getting started. Anytime we record these episodes, I am also in like 8,000 meetings all at once. So a lot of times it's take a meeting, check in, see what's happening. Oh, they rolled initiative, jump into another meeting, check in again. Oh, someone's unconscious, jump into another meeting. So I was a little bit more spotty with the Seekers run, but also I think that was okay as we've seen. But overall, you know, more aware of like the broader strokes. But also the shit is dense. So, you know, episodes that I watched 6 months ago when we were filming the soldiers doesn't necessarily mean that it's taken a permanent residence in my head. So
Yeah, it's pretty similar. Just schedule allowed me to watch more of the soldiers. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched a decent amount of it, and then I watched only a little bit of the Seekers, and I would jump in for every game just to take a peek. But you know, I think there's strengths to being able to know exactly what happened, because you can use that even if you're playing the ignorance of it, but also there's something to be said for just not knowing. I mean, they're off doing their thing, and we'll put it back together once we get together.
It is an incredibly dense show. It's probably one of the most dense shows. I mean, even if this was like, I mean, it feels like a mini series every Thursday. I sometimes watch episodes twice because I will do sort of recaps, and then I need to still read Danny Carr's recaps. So I need to keep all that lore in my head. The Schemers, I already know I need a giant map of Dalmakiar with just red string on pins. After even the first episode. So
I've always wanted to do, I've never had the chance to be in like a city campaign. We've been in cities, you know, in the history of Critical Role for like spells of time. We're in Dressar for a decent amount of time, and that was fun. But to be in fantasy Manhattan, and that's our jam, and we all have different like network strings to pull. It's a ton of fun. I'm so glad we got the chance to do it.
I remember we were actually, I mean, very lightly running at D&D Beyond. We were doing, during the era of the Mighty Nine, and there was a moment where like ships go past each other in the night, so people heard some voice things from the Critical Role cast from an episode that just happened. But like Matt was so kind when I had to ask him silly questions like, how many soldiers are in Rexentrum right now? like, and there would always be an answer. Almost immediate. Like, I know exactly how many, and I know why, and what towers they're at, and everything else like that. I overuse that glossary of knowledge. So how much, I mean, because it's fascinating to me when you look at Sam, who basically invented his entire religion within that game. Like, what was really important for you to add to the city of Dalmakiar yourselves? And like for you, obviously the theater in part, but like you got to be world builders as well.
That's a great question. Liam, you go first.
Well, I knew that I wanted to explore like sort of the evolution of theater in our fantasy world. And once Brennan laid out what I had all my ideas for it that I brought to the table into session 0, and he laid out what had happened with the gods and the history that were there, and we kind of negotiated and met in the middle and created this the Hallowed Round, stemming from, it's really inspired what I'm doing from Greek history, which is all ancient theater started as ritual first. It wasn't performance for the yucks or for catharsis. It was a religion that slowly over centuries morphed into this performance art. Now we're working on a condensed timeline because story, but that sort of decided that there was a huge patch of land next to the city that was where the god would come and float and demand that people, fell to their knees and lash their backs or whatever it was they were doing. And then we talked a lot about the Rookery, the neighborhood, and the small theater in it, because I wanted Hal to not be like He's not. I don't think he's a wealthy man. I think every coin he makes goes right back into the budget for the theater and to feed his troupe. And so I wanted him to have sort of like an early 1910, 1920 American theater feel where there was not, wasn't a ton of money in it. And I guess there's parallels to Joseph Papp as well. If anyone watching this knows the Public Theater in New York, Shakespeare in the Park started out as theater on a flatbed truck, and little by little he greased wheels in the city until that theater became an institution in New York City, and it is today. And they do Shakespeare in the Park, and so I'm living my best drama dork life and pulling from all of my history classes and theater life. That's it.
That's awesome.
I made dwarfs Southern Hicks. Basically what I did.
That's it, huh?
Kind of. The Penteveral was already an institution when Brennan came, and we kind of started like talking about what we wanted to do and where we wanted to slot ourselves into this world. And so he already had this concept of the Penteveral, because every good D&D game needs a mage school. So I was like, okay. Gotta learn somewhere. Gotta have a college. So I was like, okay, well, that works for that. But me, when I started leaning into, my Southern roots with Murray, and it was like, let's go. We're gonna dive deeper in this. So even, the part of Murray's backstory is she came to Dolmakyar on this basically like kind of cultural diplomacy mission, kind of this like exchange that they have where the dwarfs will go to other parts of the region and like help build infrastructure or build bridges. And it's kind of their way of like, cultural diplomacy, something that we have, now in real life and always have. And then with that, he was like, well, let's lean in and make it even more Southern. So it's referred to as the Hucklewind, where the dwarfs go and build infrastructure. So yeah, that was a lot of really just being like, yeah, you know what? Dwarves are Hicks.
Love it. One of my favorite parts of your character creation towards the end was you going like, beard or no beard? Beard? No beard? Everyone's like, oh, you gotta have a beard. You gotta have a beard.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
I had a few different options. She's meant to have a beard though.
The episode is, because we're recording this right before the episode airs.
Yeah.
Is there something I need to know? Can you tease me in my brain that will matter to the audience once they watch this video, like the next day or a couple of days from now, that's coming up? I'm worried about all these schemes coming together.
I'm trying to remember, because it was
questions.
such a...
Do you think they can avoid danger, Todd? That's one question.
No.
Can they avoid danger? And will they get a full 8 hours of sleep at night?
Yeah.
Those are the two main questions.
I was so excited for you to get new portents. I felt that.
Oh my God. Finally.
Your core subclass mechanic.
Sometimes our work days also feel like 7 D&D games long.
Well, on that note, I need to give time back to all of you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your fantasy lives and also your very, very real lives at the same time. It's always great to see you and talk about the show. I'm really enjoying it and loving the Schemers table so far. So
yes,
so
Schemers.
Have a great weekend.
Tune in.
More scheming.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for taking the time. Bye. A huge thank you to Marisha and Liam for taking the time to talk about the Schemers table. If you want to support a whole lot more content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Leave a comment about what you think is going to happen to the Schemers in Dolmakyar. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And you can also support the channel by going to my Patreon. And that allows us to make this type of video content and fly around the country, do interviews, afford the gear necessary to keep this channel going. Thank you so much for watching.